Shalom, this is Nitza Moshe from Remnant Remedy, where we're living and learning a restoration lifestyle. Today we have a video for you that was filmed in Israel in March when we did the tour there, and it is on the Balm of Gilead farm. The Balm of Gilead farm is owned and run by Guy Erlich, and you're going to get the opportunity, as if you were there, to listen to Guy share with us about the Balm of Gilead, which is an ancient plant that he's brought back and is planting and cultivating there in the desert north, near the top of the Dead Sea in the northern side. And he also grows myrrh trees, and he also grows frankincense trees. And in I believe in one of our newsletters, we have and will have a picture accompanying this video link with a picture of the frankincense tree where the branches form a shin. And for those of you who know Hebrew, you know what the shin represents. It represents the fire, or the name of Yahweh, God, Elohim. And so it's a little bit difficult because of his accent, but I really encourage you to watch this video and just share in the excitement that we had while we were there, and the awesome stuff that he did with us. He made some tea, you'll see that. And if you would like more information, go to there's two websites you can go to. One is called JerichoValley.com. That's JERICHO Valley.com. And there you can read a little bit about Guy and the project that's going on there. And then visit his website, which is newly done and just looks beautiful. It's called balmofgileadfarm.com. And I'm looking at it right here. And here's the deal. If you want to help support and bring back these ancient plants and the Balm of Gilead, and support Israel, support farmers that are struggling there on the land, you can go there and you can donate. There's a tab there at balmofgileadfarm.com. And for $120, you can dedicate a Balm of Gilead tree. You can dedicate a true frankincense tree, which is Boswellia sacra. And, right now we get our Boswellia sacra from Somalia and Oman. And our Israeli distilled frankincense actually is grown in Somalia or Oman, but is distilled in Israel and then sent here. And then we have the regular frankincense that is also grown and distilled in Somalia. But the thing is this: the land of Israel is preparing the plants to be able to produce the oils and the incense for the temple and for the future, and to restore and bring back all these things that Israel used to have. They're even growing doves and raising up doves for the temple, and they're putting together with silversmiths a half shekel and getting things ready for the future and the return of the Mashiach. So if you would like to participate in that, it would be awesome for you to do that. And you can sponsor a year of water for the Balm of Gilead trees. And that's $365 for the entire year to support the Balm of Gilead trees. And you could support 1 year of water for the true frankincense trees. Water is very expensive in Israel and hard to come by. But they do have it, and they produce it. They have an abundance of it, actually, but they have to desalinate it usually. And actually, Israel will be in the future. We were told by one of the rabbis on my first trip to Israel 2 years ago that Israel will be one of the top exporters of water, because they have access to the water and they will desalinate it. Now, and so water represents the Ruach, the Holy Spirit. And, the Word of God tells us that the Torah will go out from Jerusalem, from the land of Israel, basically, unto all the nations. And, we are renewed by the washing of our mind with the water of the Word, or the Torah, or the Tanakh, or the New Testament, the renewed Testament, in the words of Yeshua, the Mashiach. So I just want you to have the opportunity to see this, and we just thank you for your time So if you're interested and you would like to support Remnant Remedy, we just ask that you make a donation and or just support us by purchasing our products at remnantremedy.com. We have a pure SHEMEN essential oil site. We have an EMF shield for your cell phones and your smart meters, and for your biophoton field to protect your body, to help modulate and change the EMF pollution, to release energies that are embedded in those crystals, in the nanocrystal technology, to help your body and your biophoton field, basically your energy field, be able to respond and balance to the bombardment. And you know, with 5G and all this other stuff coming out, it's really important to look at those situations and products that you could help yourself with and your family. And we also have some linen blankets and linen nightgowns, and we have lots of teaching on that. If you go to remnantremedy.com and click on radio archives, you can get that information. And we also ask that you would like this video and or share it with your friends and subscribe to our YouTube video, as we will be more and more doing that. And we have an email subscription. We may cover an in-depth article on something spiritual. It could be anywhere from motherhood to nursing to essential oils to an herb to something to do with Israel, whatever Father puts on my heart and what he's got me doing at that time. And if you don't like it, hit the delete button. But sometimes there's things that come out that people really, really enjoy, depending on their area of interest. So we encourage you to do that. May your garments always be white, and may your head lack no shemen, as you go into watching and listening to Guy Erlich talk and take us through a tour of his farm, the Balm of Gilead farm.
Yeah. So welcome to the Balm of Gilead farm. My name is Guy Erlich. We are sitting at the hill of the Frankincense. Over here you can see the city of Jericho. Over there you can see maybe part of the Dead Sea, though the vision today is not so good, not so clear. And this is the Balm of Gilead farm. This is my life adventure in the last 10 years. 10 years ago, before the move of my family from the city of Jerusalem to Almog, I was looking for ideas for economic initiation. In the past I was a journalist and I dealt with social initiation, and I decided to do something for the benefit of my family and to establish a new business next to our new home, to build some economic structure. While looking for ideas for the business, we visited a place nearby called the Nature Reserve in Otsukim and Feshcha, and over there I heard about the legendary Balm of Gilead, and I guess that this is where it struck me. But before I tell you about the legendary Balm of Gilead, I would like to ask you for a few things. First of all, please drink a lot of water. Even though it's not summer yet, you will lose water, and I don't want headache to be your memory for me. So please drink water, and if you need a refill, I got you some bottles. Feel free to take from my water. I want you to drink a lot. Second, if you have hats, put your hats on. And third, it is the beginning of the autumn, of the spring, and it is nature. There are some animals around, some scorpions, some snakes, some giraffes, some dinosaurs. I don't want you to be worried, but I want you to be aware. So just open your eyes, and if you see a snake, don't touch it. Call me, I will touch it. Okay? After saying that, let's go back to the Balm of Gilead. I heard about the legendary Balm of Gilead, and that's where I got the disease. The Balm of Gilead was a marvelous plant, incredible plant, a plant that was grown at the shores of the Dead Sea for at least 1,000 years. This was the only place in the world it was grown agriculturally, and the ancient Hebrew farmer was the only one in the world to grow it. The Balm of Gilead was the source of one of the most important medication of ancient time. The Balm of Gilead was the source of the best and the most expensive and desirable perfume in the Roman Empire. The Balm of Gilead was so important, so it served as the first ingredient of the incense of the Holy Temple. And since the Second Temple period, it was the only ingredient of the anointing oil of the king and priests of Israel. It was a marvelous plant, plants with a lot of meaning, medical meaning, economical meaning, spiritual meaning. And in the 6th century, together with the Jewish people, this plant also extinct from the land. When I heard about this remarkable plant, I thought to myself, wow, that's a good idea for a new business, let's bring it back. And I hit the road with a naive and romantic vision to bring back the agriculture of the Balm of Gilead to the shores of the Dead Sea and to revive the industries that was once driven from it. The legendary Balm of Gilead is identified with a plant called Commiphora gileadensis. It's a species of myrrh. We'll talk later on about the frankincense in the myrrh. There is a general understanding between researchers that indeed the Balm of Gilead is the Commiphora gileadensis. There are a lot of articles supporting this identification. There is a strong change of delivery, but I should mention there is no 100% guarantee for this.
No 100%, no what? Guarantee.
No 100% guarantee for this identification.
Oh.
There were a few attempts to send organic material from archaeological site to analyze. Until now, all the analyses came without an answer. So there is a general understanding. There are a lot of articles supporting the identification. There is no other serious competitor on the title, but there is no 100% guarantee. This is the situation where I work.
Now, this is different from the kidney Boston, correct?
This is different, yeah, of course.
Yes,
It's
right.
a different plant. Anyhow, the first year I was looking for the plant, couldn't find it. I read a lot about it because it was so important on ancient time. There are a lot of written evidence in the use of the Balm of Gilead. People of his time, people that nowadays we call classic historians, wrote a lot about it, described it. There is even a graphic description in the Midbar map. I made a lot of theoretical work, but I couldn't get seedlings. I was looking for them. After a year I got my first seedlings, and shame on me, it appears that they were under my nose. I was looking at a more challenging direction. It appears that the plant was brought to Israel about 3 years before I started looking for it. A German scientist smuggled few seeds of the plant. The source of the seeds was Saudi Arabia. The seeds reaches the Botanical Garden in Jerusalem, in Givat Ram. The professionals there succeeded propagating it, but very fast they found out that these plants don't like the chill air of Jerusalem. And a minute before it died from the cold, they split the mother plant for two. Half of it went to the Botanical Garden in Kibbutz En Gedi, and another half went to an incredible woman called Dr. Elaine Soloway in Kibbutz Torah at the Araba Desert. I got my first seedlings from Elaine, and together with them I gained a teacher for agriculture. Elaine is an incredible woman. She's a pioneer. She's an expert in desert agriculture and sustainable agriculture. Maybe you heard about a group of Israeli scientists that succeeded propagating a date 2,000 years old that was found at the Metzada. Elaine is the one that did it. It grows at the entrance to her office, and unfortunately it came out to be a male. We hope that it will be a female and we will be able to taste the famous date of Judea. But unfortunately it is a male. His name is Metushelach. And I know that Elaine works on some other seeds, so maybe in the future she will be able to do it again. Anyhow, I got my first Balm of Gilead plants from Elaine. Later on I got some other plants from other sources, but the first one was from Elaine. And I gained, together with them, I gained a teacher for agriculture. She is my teacher and I'm a pride student of her. Anyhow, when I got the plants from Elaine, I started playing with them, learning how to grow them, how to propagate them. At that stage, I also went to get some economic consultant. The conservative consultant told me, Guy, new agriculture and new industry is much too much ambitious. You should focus on tourism. Your vision to make new agriculture is not connected to the ground. It sounds crazy, stuff like this that since then I heard several times since then. From one hand I listen to him and even good stuff happened to me from that, but from the other hand I keep on listening to my heart. But from listening to him I started to make a program for a visitor center. And while thinking that maybe one plant, as important as it is, will not be interesting enough for a tour of an hour, I started to collect some other plants. At the beginning, the plants of the incense of the Holy Temple. And then some perfume plants from the Bible, and medical plants from the Bible, and then some medical and perfume plants from the desert, and then some other perfume and medical plants. And along the years, I became an obsessive collector of medical and perfume plants from the Bible and from the desert. I got a rare big collection. Elaine says that this is the biggest private collection of these plants in the Middle East, though it is meaningless. You cannot go with this record to the grocery. About 3 years later, I reached the stage where I know how to grow my plant. I wrote agricultural protocol for the agriculture of it. I know how to propagate it in different methods, but only then I'm starting to understand how long my fate is going to be. Because in order to become a final product, this plant has to go through a period of research and development from the agricultural aspect, but more important to learn how to produce raw material out of it in modern techniques, to learn its medical properties, to give it regulation after an absence of 1,500 years. I gathered a group of professionals who sat for almost 2 years, and my naive and romantic vision became a biotechnological vision and venture that is looking for investment for quite a long time, much too long. Even though I'm insisting remaining optimistic, and I am counting on you. I will explain myself. One of the things that I learned along the years is that tourism is much more important than a source of income. Tourism is my ability to tell my story, and I do believe from the bottom of my heart that eventually the right partner would come thanks to people like you that would hear my story and tell it to the world till it would reach the right ears. So I'm asking now, and I would ask you at the end, please tell my story. Never mind if you think it's good, if you think it's bad, tell my story. I do believe that,
Do you have a little brochure?
I have an internet site and a Facebook page. I'll give you cards. I'll give you cards of mine, and please tell my story. I would remind you later. I got during the years I got a lot of media on the farm, the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Washington Star, the Spiegel, the CBN. Lucky me, I have a lot of media. Okay, it didn't bring the investor yet. I believe that you will bring the investor. But let's put it aside. I can tell you that at that stage I was completely with the understanding that I become a marathon runner. When I hit the road, I didn't expect it to be so long. To tell you the truth, if I knew how long it would be, I might want to hit the road. Lucky us, we don't know what tomorrow brings. At that stage, I also understood that I had some other very interesting plants in my collection. A plant that have a lot of potential, and I decided that if it is determined that I become a marathon runner, it's a good lesson to me because usually I don't like to wait with the satisfaction. I like things here and now. This is a good lesson for me for being patient. I decided to try to promote some other plants together with the Balm of Gilead. And I expanded the border of my vision. Nowadays I want to establish here at the north of the Dead Sea Research and Development Center for Medical Plants from the Bible and from the desert. I have a model that I do believe in from the bottom of my heart. Also because I'm telling it to myself from morning to evening, but it got a good common sense. It is stand on two legs. One leg says that here in Israel, we cannot compete with the world in agriculture. The land is expensive, the water is expensive, the manpower is even more expensive. So I'm focusing on plants that no one else in the world grow agriculturally. In this case, I have a chance to win at least in the first few years. All of my plants answer two criteria. One criteria is that none of them have agriculture anywhere in the world, and the second criteria is that all of them have a very important history as medical plants. The other leg of my model says that my move has to be a holistic move. It should contain inside of it agriculture, research and development, and industry, and they should all go as one. Because without agriculture, we will not have raw material for the industry. Without the industry, we will not have demand for the agriculture. And we do need research and development in order to translate the plant into products. So this is what I'm trying to do nowadays. I have a team of plants that have a lot of potential. In a few minutes we are going to meet my heroes. But before this I would like to tell you about the superhero of my story. My story has one superhero. It's important to me to tell it to everyone. The superhero of my story name is my wife. Should be told. When we left Jerusalem, we sold the family apartment. It was a small apartment, but it was our apartment. We used this funds in order to fulfill the vision. Later on, all of our savings. In the first few years, I was working in Jerusalem in a full-time job, and this was only a secondary job. But after 3 years, I understood that if I will not dedicate myself for this, it will not happen in my lifetime. So I quit the job. Later on, unfortunately, a big part of heritage that we got. Later on, it was not enough, so some loans from the bank and some loans from other sources. Everything that we have and more than this is invested in this venture. And the real hero here is my wife. Not only she didn't throw me from home yet, she's still smiling to me from time to time. Not all the time and less, but she is still smiling from time to time, and I'm grateful for this. And if I am in gratitude mode, I would say that what you're going to see is not a sole work of myself. Along the years, I got a lot of support from family, from friends, from neighbors, from people like you that comes to visit, and each one is trying to help in his own abilities. Cynthia, for example, from the local municipality, the Jewish agency. Lucky me, I have a lot of support, and what you're going to see is not a sole work of myself. Maybe the last story before we go to see some plants would be that about 6 years ago, a big American company, world leader in the field of essential oil, found me. They decided that they want to be my partner and they want to be a sole client for my essential oils. Along the years, they invested quite a lot of money in developing the agriculture, few $100,000. 2 years and 10 months ago, in a very surprising and sad manner, they announced on their immediate retirement from the venture. It took me by surprise. I didn't expect it. The point where they announced on their jumping out of ship was exactly the situation where I become a commercial scale farmer. On that time, as well as nowadays, I had 10,000 plants of Balm of Gilead, 5,000 of them already planted in the ground, and some other few thousands other plants. And I was amazed from the decision to leave me. Trying to understand why. The main reason I was giving was the fear of the evil BDS movement. Are you familiar with the BDS movement?
Yes.
BDS movement, the people that boycott Israel. Now it is true that we are part of the West Bank. A lot of Israelis don't think about this area of the North Dead Sea as a part of the West Bank, but we are part of the West Bank. I do not feel a reason to apologize for this. And more than this, I think it got nothing to do with it. I think it's got something to do with the 8th of June. This is the modern anti-Semitism, the BDS, not the company. The company was just afraid of them. But the BDS are anti-Semitized, and I do believe that even if one day we will come back to the old borders of Israel and leave all the West Bank, they will still don't like us, these BDS people. Anyhow, the jumping out of ship of my American partner found me in a very challenging situation. From one end, I'm closer than ever to fulfill my vision. I do have now, also that days, agriculture in a commercial size. But from the other end, I still have a few other challenges, such as developing products and marketing them, and selling them. Challenges that are even bigger than growing ancient rare biblical plants. But despite all the challenges, as I said before, I'm insisting on remaining optimistic, and I'm doing my best to survive. Sometimes reality is very hard. I will share with you that till a few weeks ago, for a period of 3 weeks, I was cut out of water because of death to the water company. And this is from my aspect, it was the beginning of a tragedy. Lucky me, I found someone that was willing to give me another loan. So I succeeded buying myself some more time. I know that things will be great at the end, but till then things are challenging. And it's okay, we are here for to deal with the challenges. Okay, I think that at that stage we'll go to see some plants, and later on we'll come back here and I'll tell you more about the Balm of Gilead. Would you like herbal tea now or later? The herbal tea is ready?
Later.
As
Yeah.
you wish. If you want, you can take with you, and if you want later, we can keep it to later. Okay. In great stress, he loses all his leaves at the beginning of the autumn. Even the winter here, which is not so cold, is not good for him. So he loses all his leaves during the winter, and when summer would come, which is quite soon, he would bloom again. So this is a miserable Balm of Gilead. By the way, what you see here is not its leaves, it's a bad herb. At the beginning of my planting, I got a strategic decision. I'm not using poison, not against insects and not against herbs. As for insects, my plants are strong enough to take care for themselves. And as for herbs, or bad herbs, weeds, at the first few years I was weeding all the time with people that worked with me, but after I was neglected by my partner, I was not able to hire the great people that worked with me. And about 2 years ago I stopped weeding. So there are a lot of weeds here. It's okay for me, and also from the aspect of my plants. This is the legendary Balm of Gilead, the one that came from Saudi Arabia. On the hot months of the summer, the ancient Hebrew farmer produced different raw material out of different parts of the plant. The main raw material was the resin. The ancient Hebrew farmer used to make cuts at the branches and collect the resin. I'm going to make a cut. I would ask you to come a bit closer.
Is this the level now?
No, this is the Balm of Gilead.
Balm of Gilead, yeah, the Balm of Gilead.
But it also
Gilead,
makes
That's the
resin.
frankincense.
No, this is not the frankincense. This is a species of myrrh.
I thought,
I would ask you to grab a finger and get some. There is a unique blast that was written
Put your
in.
finger on it.
I'm going to make you a cut. Just a minute. Just a minute. And now you can bring your finger here.
Just even
Yeah.
with your finger you made a cut. You don't
Yeah.
even need it.
nice.
No, I found out that I can do it only with the finger.
Good.
On the summertime, there are much more resin. Just a minute, I make another cut.
And what is it called in Hebrew then?
Afarsemon or tsori, bring the finger here. Yeah. Afarsemon,
A farsim.
tsori, kataf, nataf, and bosem. This is the Hebrew name from the Bible time. The Greek called it balsamon, the Roman called it opa balsamon. Bring your finger here, don't hesitate. The smells remind some other plants. It reminds a bit eucalyptus and tea tree.
Yeah.
Two plants that were never grown here on the Bible time. They come from Australia.
Hold on.
A bit turpentine. Bring your finger here.
From the white?
You can take from the white. The colorless is over here. Everyone smelled it?
Isn't that good?
Yes, well, I'm going to take some.
Now,
Hold on, just want to take the...
one of the name of this plant from the Bible time is bosem. Bosem.
Bosem.
Bosem. Bosem is the Hebrew name for perfume. It was the name of the plant before it became a general name for perfume. The same thing that happened to Jeep and Frigidaire happened to this plant. That from a private name of a plant, it became a general name for liquid essence. And when we talks about perfume, we talks about not only one smell, but a combination of 3 different notes of smell. And it's extremely interesting because we got in one plant 3 distinguished notes of smell. So we smell the resin. This is one smell. Another interesting smell comes from the fruit. This is the fruit of the Balm of Gilead. This is the size of the fruit. It will not be bigger. I'm going to wound it a bit and please pass it among you. It got a much different smell. It got a more sweet citrus lemonade smell. Please pass it among you.
I smelled that on
It
the...
is.
And we have this at tomorrow.
We have 2 of these at tomorrow.
Yep, I saw them at tomorrow.
There you go. Did everybody get one?
Please pass it among you. This is the other note of smell. The third note of smell comes from the fresh leaves at the summertime. But since we are not at summertime, I don't have fresh leaves. You should count on me that we have a third
back in
note
the
of
summer.
smell. Or come
Love
back
to
in the
come back.
summer. You are welcome to come back in the
But
summer.
all three do have a different
And what's
odor.
the third part?
The leaves.
The leaves, the fresh leaves.
Oh, not these ones.
And
Not
what
this one.
What purpose for each one? Is there a different purpose for
It's
each
a
one?
good question. I don't have an answer for this. I can tell you that on ancient time, a lot of medical properties was connected to this plant. Among them are a drug against medication against cataract and epilepsy, and anti-inflammatory activity, and against headaches and problems with the breathing system, against bites of scorpions and snakes, and some other properties. The research on the Balm of Gilead is still at the beginning. The pioneers of this research is Saudi Arabia. There is some research, new researchers from Israel. There is a team from Ben Gurion University that found in the Balm of Gilead a raw material called beta-caryophyllene that exists in other plants, but the beta-caryophyllene of the Balm of Gilead, they say that might be in the future a medicine against different species of cancer. Though it's not a medication yet. There is a team from Engedi Skin Laboratory that found a beta blocker raw material inside of it. There are still a lot of research work to do. I can tell you for sure that there are two properties that I already know that the Balm of Gilead have. One of them is very strong anti-inflammatory activity. A lot of plants have anti-inflammatory activity, but the Balm of Gilead have a very unique anti-inflammatory activity. And the second one is very good and strong temptation ability. But we will talk about it later. So this is the Balm of Gilead, the legendary Balm of Gilead. Let's continue. Frankincense. And an incredible thing happened to me with the true frankincense. I got my first seedlings together with my first Balm of Gilead. Its origin was from Yemen. Intuitively I started playing with it like with the Balm of Gilead, learning how to grow it, how to propagate it. After about 3 years I found out that without aiming, at least I was not aiming, I'm in a very interesting situation. It appears that there are 22 species of frankincense in the world. 22. This one considered to be the most important one. This is the frankincense of the incense of the Holy Temple, and in this case we got a 100% guarantee. This is the frankincense of the gift of the three Magi to Mary, and we have 100% guarantee as well. This is considered to be the frankincense with the highest demand, the frankincense with the highest price, the frankincense with the most interesting medical potential. Only after 3 years I found out that it also appears that this tree only go wild in different countries of the Horn of Africa, especially in Yemen, in the Sultanate of Oman. No one grows this tree agriculturally, and due to the high demand that the reason of the tree got, there is a very sad phenomenon of overusing. The local gatherers are making too many cuts a year in order to have as much resin they can, and it is 10 years that there are articles saying that there is rapid death of trees in nature, trees of Boswellia sacra. This is 5 years, a bit more than 5 years, that this tree is on the red list of trees under danger of extinction of the World Nature Observing Organization. And I found myself among the only one in the world grow it agriculturally. Now, unlike the Balm of Gilead that was grown here historically, the true frankincense was never grown here agriculturally, but it is very happy to be here. Nowadays I have 1,000 plants of Boswellia sacra, of true frankincense, and when I have the right partner I want to have at least 1,000 plants of true frankincense. It is extremely important to make agriculture out of it. When we talk about sustainability, this is the best way to show how important it is to take care, because if we will use only the natural resources, the plants from nature, we will be out of frankincense.
That's right.
And if we want the next generation, our children and our grandchildren, to be able to use the frankincense, and I do believe that this is only the beginning, because there is a huge potential, medical potential in the frankincense, and this time, and I believe that we will know more and more. If we wanted to survive, we have to make agriculture out of it. Otherwise, it would disappear. So it's an extremely important plant. Nowadays, it's still not economic to grow the true frankincense agriculturally. First of all, because it takes quite a few years in order that the tree would be mature enough to produce the resin. The literature talks about something about 10 years. My trees are not old enough.
How old are these, more or less?
Some of them are 5, and some of them are 6 years old. I can tell you that even if I'll be able to produce now resin, it's still not economic, because even though the price of the resin doubled itself the last 2 years, it's still not very expensive, to at least not at the field in Yemen. To buy 1 kilogram of resin in Yemen would be something like between $18 to $20, which is not much. I'm sure that in the future it will be much more expensive, but this is the current price. So it's not economic to grow it agriculturally. On the contrary, from the other end, this year I got a very nice present from God. I read a very interesting article about a unique honey that is produced at the Sultanate of Oman with the help of bees that were fed by the flowers of the Boswellia sacra. And since I have 1,000 plants of Boswellia sacra and 2 blooming seasons a year, in the autumn and in the spring, last autumn a friend of mine gave me a beehive, and after 2 months we opened the beehive, and there were 4 kilograms of very, very unique honey that was sold on a great price, $1,000 per kilogram. I sold it on small jars of 30 ml, but everything was sold out, and there is a waiting list for next season. Now it is at this stage it is more noise than a real thing, because it's only 4 kilograms, and 1 kilogram of the 4 went to analyze and present, so it talks about 3 kilograms. So it's $3,000, which is nice, but it's about 2 months' water bills.
2 months of water bill.
Yeah, but it's better than nothing, and it is an unexpected source of income. And then in the coming spring we will put more than 1 beehive, and I hope that we will have more than 4 kilograms of unique honey. So this is the Boswellia sacra.
How do you propagate?
My main method nowadays is cuttings. Unfortunately, unlike the Balm of Gilead, I have a very, very small succeed with propagating it from seeds. Very, very small success. So the vast majority of my frankincense are from cuttings. This is another problem, because we do need the diversity. When we are making cuttings, it's not diversity. We are duplicating the mother plant. Okay, this is another challenge. We will have to find out how to propagate it from seeds in a better method.
Maybe a different method of propagation?
I tried different methods. Maybe what we call the tissue propagation. Though this is also duplication of mother plant. The advantage of seed is that each one have its own character, for good and for bad. But the future should be in seeds. Till now, not me, neither my teacher for agriculture are not succeeding with propagating them. We did succeed to propagate a few dozens of seeds out of few dozens of seeds that we tried. So this is another challenge for the coming future. Let's continue.
Oh, I just have a question.
Yeah.
From one tree, how many cuts can you make?
Thousands, hundreds, thousands.
Even on the same branch?
Even on the same branch.
Have you tried grafting?
What is grafting?
Where you use the stem of one plant and you put pieces of this and you use
I haven't tried grafting yet, though I find it very interesting. I should try. I would like to try to make the grafting between different species of frankincense and on the other side different species of myrrh. Yeah, it is very interesting direction. I haven't tried it yet.
Okay.
Let's continue. The vast majority of plants are different species of myrrh. Myrrh. As I mentioned before, there are 22 species of frankincense. It's called the Boswellia, and there are 173 or 4 different species of myrrh. The Balm of Gilead is one of them. I have about 35 of them. and I guess that of the myrrh and about 8 frankincense, and I guess that in the future I'll have more because I'm obsessive about it. By the way, the frankincense and the myrrh comes from the same botanical family. It's called the Brossurosea family. So the vast majority plants here are different species of myrrh. We'll come back later and meet some of them, but let's continue now.
This tree here.
By the way, the tall tree that you see, this is not a myrrh, this is a species of frankincense. This is the Ethiopian frankincense. The tall one. It's called the Brossura papyrifera. Let's continue. By the way, my biggest agriculture challenge here is fighting the salt. The land here is very, very salty, and sometimes you'll be able to see white rings around my plants. The white is salt. If you didn't understand yet, I am quite a weird bird. I got this. This is a private venture. I got no patronage, not the kibbutzi movement, and not the settlement movement. Against the odds, I got the allocation of land. Usually they don't give a private people allocation of land here, but lucky me, about 5.5, 6 years ago, I got the allocation of marvelous land. 4.5 years ago, 2 weeks before the Jewish sabbatical year entered, I planted my first 2 experimental plots. In Judaism, once 7 years, you do not work the land. You give it a year to rest. Now, even though I am not an Orthodox religious Jew, I am a man of a great belief, but I'm not Orthodox. I decided or understood that my plants have a lot of meaning, even more than the source of income, and I decided to respect the Jewish law with them, and that was a great decision. So I planted my first experimental plots 2 weeks before the sabbatical year, and during the sabbatical year I didn't work the land and didn't make new plants. One of the 2 plots died, but that was a rebel gate, that was a learning fee. And after the sabbatical year ended, I planted all the rest till I was out of resources again. So everything that we see here is from after the sabbatical year, and only this float remained from the first 2 experimental floats. Let's go inside and see my older plants. Founders Avenue. These are the first frankincense that I planted in the ground. I planted them about 4.5 years ago. When I planted them, they were, let's say, a year and a half. So they are now between 6 to 5.5 years ago. They grow very rapid. This is a very nice speed of growth for a tree. I really like this tree. It looks great. It got no tones. And if you look carefully, one of the interesting things that people can see in my trees are 2 things. First of all, you can see very good the Hebrew letter Shin. Are you familiar with the letter Shin? This is the beginning of Shaddai. This is what's written on the mezuzah. Look at this. And I didn't make it. It became by itself. And if you look carefully, you would find here hundreds and thousands of letters of Shin. Another things that you'll be able to see is menorot. Look by yourself. Look for the Shin and look for the menorah. And when you look for it, you will find it. Plants from the Bible, but also plants from the Israeli desert that don't have agriculture anywhere in the world from one hand, and from the other hand they have a very glorious history of use as medical plants. This is one of them. It's called the Artemisia fragrantissima. Sorry. It's called Achillea fragrantissima. We did the Artemisia in a while. This one called Achillea fragrantissima. It's considered to be very important medicine at the local traditional medication. It's you have to crush it in order to reach the smell. Some people like the smell, some people dislike the smell. I think that no one can ignore it. It's not a sage. It's called the Achillea fragrantissima. The traditional medication, it's good to reduce blood pressure and to balance diabetic and to to work as anti-inflammatory.
Achillea, right?
Achillea.
Aphelia.
Yeah. You have to crush it a bit in order to smell.
Did you plant this or is this growing
I
wild?
planted them.
Okay.
I planted them and I have more than 1,000 plants of it across the land. The vast majority of them are on the lower plantation.
Can you eat Can you eat this or not?
It's very bitter. You can make herbal tea out of it. In the herbal tea that I made, I put few bunches of achillea.
In the tea we're going to drink.
Yeah. So I do a few, more than 1,000 plants of achillea, and when I have the right partner in few months, we will be able to have a commercial size scale of agriculture out of it. It's a herb, it grows much faster than trees. Let's continue.
Guy,
Yeah.
with the merge, does the back peel off?
This is the peel of the frankincense. It's a bit like the what we have with the snake that loses his peel from time to time. This is how they grow. This is common to the Boswellia sacra and other species of frankincense and myrrh. Another local plant, it's called Moringa peregrina. There is a famous big sister called Moringa oleifera that you probably heard about. It's very fashionable nowadays. People are eating its leaves because it's got a lot of edible fibers and vitamin and minerals. The leaves of our local moringa, the Moringa peregrina, have the same qualities, but this is not the reason why I'm growing it. I'm growing it because there is ancient evidence that the seeds of the Moringa peregrina were used to make a very high quality oil for the cosmetic industry. Typical herb that go wild here. This is a competitor of the achillea for the title Queen of the Herbs that goes wild in Israel. You have to crush it in order to smell it.
And what is this one?
It's called Artemisia herba alba. In Arabic it's called shich. It's very, very bitter.
English, what is it called?
Artemisia herba alba.
That's the Latin name.
It also have a very well documented ability for blood pressure and balancing diabetic.
What's it called again?
Artemisia herba alba. Herba alba. Crush it a bit.
Writing them all down.
It's very bitter. It's very, very bitter. In Hebrew it's called לענת המדבר. Okay, let's continue. Nowadays I have 10,000 plants of Balm of Gilead, 5,000 of them. Beware from the pit, please. 5,000 of them already. Come a bit closer. 5,000 of them already planted in the ground. Out of my 10,000 plants of Balm of Gilead, 9,000 are from cuttings. When we make a plant out of cutting, we take a small piece of branch and by manipulating it, we make it grow roots and become individual plants. By doing this, we are duplicating the mother plant. They are 100% similar to the mother plant. Over here, this is the small but most important plantation of mine. Over here, I have 1,000 plants of Balm of Gilead that started as seeds. When a plant starts as a seed, each one got its own character, for good and for bad. But over here is the future. Over here we will find the strong plants, the plants that are more resistant to diseases. When we know what are the active ingredients we are looking for, we'll find here plants with more active ingredient, plants that grow faster. This is the future, and it's extremely important to have diversity. One of the things that my teacher for agriculture taught me is that diversity is the future. So this is the future. This is 1,000 plants that started as a seed, and in the future, when we know what we are looking for, we will duplicate them. And even though then, we keep on growing new plants from seeds because you should always open your mind and heart for new things.
That's right.
So this is the future. This is 1,000 plants of the Balm of Gilead that started as seeds. And in the lower plantation, I have 4,000 plants that are from cuttings. And another 5,000 plants that are still in pots.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
Medical plant that go wild in the Israeli desert. It's called Achillea sorry. It's called the Bandula coronifolia. It's also called Bedouin Zatar. The local
Bedouin Zatar?
Yeah, the local Bedouin
that's nice.
use it as a spice replacement of za'atar. It's some people like the smell, some people don't like the smell.
This is the one that looks like the menorah plant.
It's also a medicine for the stomach. And if you look at the flowers of it, they might look familiar for you. This is a species of lavender.
Yes.
It is a lavender that go wild at the usually desert and then they have the smell of thyme. So this is the Bedouin
This
za'atar.
is good for tea.
Yeah, I put some of it in our tea.
In our tea, yeah, good taste.
Are from the same botanical family. It's called the Broserosea family. And the Broserosea family also have an uncle from America, from the New World. It's called Brosura. In this case, it's called Brosura microphilia. It comes from Mexico. Now, even though it's not from the Bible and not from the Israeli desert, I decided to add it to my team because first of all, it got no agriculture anywhere in the world. And second, it got a very important history of use as medication. The American natives used to make a very important medication out of it. This is one of the trees that carry the name Copal. There are a few different trees that have the name Copal. Copal is a cure, and it was also a source for incense for the American native. Now it got a very interesting phenomenon. Please take one hand and do only once something like this. Not so gentle, not gentle at all. Smell it only once, please, and try to give the smell a name. What do you smell? Maybe you smell dill, maybe you smell a pepper. And if you cannot give it a name, just remember the smell. And after you did it once, do it again and be open-minded because the smell is going to change.
I got the pepper in a second.
Okay, so wait for the third time.
The second time, do it on the same branch or a different
Never
branch?
mind. Never mind. Did you reach the citrus? Citrus, lemon, mandarin.
It's stronger than the first.
And if you don't feel the citrus, try it again. Till you feel the citrus.
The citrus?
The vast majority of people the second time feel the second or third time feel the citrus.
Denise?
I get more the lemongrass.
That's close. And if not, never mind. But most of the people feel the second time feel a bit citrus here.
Yep. That's one of them.
Oh, I got the citrus.
I feel like a little bit better.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it takes one more time, but it is chemistry. Let's continue. If you put very small amount of it in a cup of water, hot water, it would bring you a great herbal tea.
Smells good.
The smell is strong. You want to try it?
Love it.
Oh, it's different than our stage.
Yeah. It's,
I like it.
It's even different from the regular sage that grow wild in Israel. It's called the fragrance sage and it grows at the desert.
And is that the Balm of Gilead inside?
No, inside of it, this is another species of myrrh. It's called Commiphora whitey. This is the Indian myrrh. This one is the Indian myrrh. This is Commiphora whitey. This one is a myrrh called Mulis.
Wow.
This one is a Yemeni myrrh. It's called Commiphora abyssinica, considered to be very high quality myrrh.
Wow.
This one called the Commiphora Mozambique.
It's a fragrance seed.
This one called Commiphora
How do you remember them all?
I know.
glandulosa. This is Commiphora
lives here.
glandulosa.
He breathes
This one
here.
is another Mozambique. After him, there is Commiphora africana. This is Commiphora mira. This is Commiphora from the Sultanate of Oman. We don't know what its name, but it comes from the Sultanate of Oman. After it, this is a Boswellia. This is this and this are the same. This is the Ethiopian frankincense, Boswellia papyrifera. After it, there is a species of another Boswellia, another frankincense called Carteri. There is a debate if the Carteri is a subclone of the Sacra or a different species. I see it as a different species, but I'm not the one to decide.
Which one is this? The Porphyria?
This one? Papyrifera. The Ethiopian frankincense. Papyrifera. It comes from Ethiopia.
Yeah, it is.
Look how different it is from the Sacra.
Wow.
They are both from the same group, but they look different.
Completely.
Let's continue.
They look happy.
Yeah. And
That's
they
good.
look much happier in a month when the heat would come. They are waiting for spring to come.
When it flowers.
This is a very unique of a species of unknown myrrh. At the beginning we thought it's a subclone of the Balm of Gilead because it looks quite alike. But after analyzing it, we found out that this is a totally different species of myrrh. It got a very good smell. I made few hundred seeds of it because it got a very unique smell. You can try it. Making the cut here. No floral smell.
The branches look just like the balm of Gilead.
Yeah, it looks quite alike. No, this is a blackberry, but it looks quite alike.
Yes.
But I can tell you that after
can you
making
tell?
analyze, there are different species.
This is a myrrh?
For 100%. There are different species of myrrh.
How can you tell this is myrrh? The branches are just the same.
Because
He's the farmer.
chemical analyze of it. The smell is a direction, but the analyze is what makes it different. If they are from the same species, the analyze should be at the area, but this one are completely different. So this is different species of myrrh. Let's continue.
This one comes
Fulicoria indica. It got a very unique smell. It's a combination of chamomile and the thyme.
Oh,
Very gentle
we
smell.
pulled this out of the tail.
I put some of it in our tea.
It's a what now? It's a combination.
It's called a combination of chamomile and in the smell, not botanically. In the smell, it's a bit a combination of chamomile and the za'atar and the thyme. Try the leaves. The smells come from the leaves. It's yeah.
The smell comes from the leaves.
chamomile is that time?
I like the smell. It's very,
I like it too.
it's very
Thank you.
gentle. And I put some of it in our herbal tea.
Oh my, that's tea, guys. You're gonna do a wild off from here. Is almond tea. Yeah.
We should, but not yet.
That smells like heaven.
I was asked about the production of raw material and products from the Balm of Gilead. I would tell you that nowadays my method of production is distillation, but it is a default. I do believe that in the future I'll find a better method. It is a default because from two reasons. The first reason is that during the distillation process there is heat involved, heat that might harm some of the active ingredients. And the second reason it's default is that I can produce only very small amount of essential oil. Just to give you proportion, last summer, last distillation that was a record for me, from 107 kilograms of chopped Balm of Gilead, I managed to, someone want sugar?
I'm good.
Someone wants some sugar in the herbal tea? I was managed to produce about 250 ml of essential oil,
And I got 20 mils of that.
which is really not much, very
It's not
expensive, not much. It's less than 0.25%.
And that was
Yield.
Balm of Gilead?
Yeah, pure Balm of Gilead.
Tell them again because you were kind of bit down. How much plant product of the Balm of Gilead? 107 kilos? Raw
For
product.
107 kilograms of chopped Balm of Gilead, I was able to make about 250 ml of essential oil,
Which is,
Through distillation.
and that
that's
was the
about
record,
8 ounces,
which is not much.
which is not much at all.
The Balm of Gilead essential oil is very expensive, very, very expensive. From the other end, it's very potent. It's very strong, very concentrated. You can put a small amount of it and still have a strong activity. Yeah.
Anti-inflammatory.
Okay. Now I want to talk about ancient time, please. Ancient time was a very, sorry to say it, stinky time.
Stinky?
Stinky.
Stinky.
People didn't change clothes every day. Yes. And people didn't
Did they have water?
take shower every day. Yes. But from the other end, people also didn't have the toilets at home. And even the Holy Temple was a big slaughterhouse where animals were butchered from morning to evening without refrigerators, and you can only guess how bad was the smell. And in order to deal with this, people used a lot of incense. Now the incense is as long as humanity, it is common to all religions, those who came before Judaism and those who came after Judaism, in all the cultures, in all the continents. What is the English name for bosom?
Balsam?
Bosom. Bosom. Bosom.
B-O-S-E-M, spice? Spice?
Perfume.
Perfume.
Oh,
Bosom is the Hebrew word for perfume. Now in Greek, per is true, and fume is smoke. Perfume through the smoke. The first perfume humanity knew was the incense, the way to deliver the smoke, the smell through the smoke. We talked about the frankincense and the myrrh. I just bring some pieces from my car.
So that word is
Mara says that the noise is good for the incense. The ritual of making the incense was probably a musical ritual.
yes.
To keep on a rhythm and make some noise.
And have fun.
And have fun, of course. Things that are made with fun are much better.
Because good things are going to happen.
So this one's frankincense.
Sage, do you know what we do with sage?
We burn it.
We can make herbal tea, we can cook with it, we can make a medicine for the stomach, and we can also burn it. Why do we burn sage?
Insect? Well, it depends on if you're Indian or not.
You go.
We burn in Middle East cultures. You burn sage in order to make the bad spirit go away.
Yeah.
But, and it's a big but, I'm not going to burn the sage in order to make anything go away because I have only good spirits here. I'm going to burn the sage in order to make some coal.
What is this, Cynthia? He's making a coal out of this so he can put the incense.
This is the.
Oh, we're making incense?
This is a myrrh and frankincense, resin of myrrh and of frankincense. I did had my unique lighter it is. Even though I spent few years at the Boy Scout, I'm not so good with making a bonfire, but this I find this very helpful.
Oh yeah, the box.
Okay, while waiting for the call to be ready, I will tell you that along the years I become a magnet for temple fans.
Yes.
A lot of people that want to have a temple are coming to visit me and became good friends of mine. The people of the Temple Institute, Israel Ariel, the chairman of the Temple Institute was here more than few times. Yehuda Glick, Yehuda Etzion, Arnon Segal, Menachem Borenstein, a lot of them. And I have to admit that at the beginning I was quite confused from this because I hit the road in order to give my family an economic base. And not only that I'm not able to do this, I become a magnet to people that once I thought that they never be my friends. This is the truth. I can tell you that at the first time that Rabbi Israel Ariel was here, the chairman of the Temple Institute, I told him, Rabbi Ariel, when the temple would come from the sky, I'll be more than happy to supply the incense. I would work hard, even nowadays, in order to have as much ingredients in the best quality I'll be able to. But forget it, I'm not going to build you a temple. He was very upset with me. He told me, Guy, you don't know what is your destination. Which is right, I do not know what my destination is. But then he gave me the nicest compliment he can give. He told me, Guy, you are... He didn't tell me that I'm the Messiah, and he didn't tell me that I'm the donkey of the Messiah. He told me that I am crazy. Now, I can tell you that along the years I did develop the ability to make a separation between the person to his beliefs, religious thoughts, and also people that think they're different than me, and even people that I think that their thoughts might be dangerous, I can still see them as good people. And a lot of the temple fans are great people. And there is a very short gap between their mouth and their heart. And I give it a lot of respect. Anyhow, I did find it confusing, the fact that I become a good friend of the temple fans. But after a few months, I developed a very nice answer that I want to share with you. The first part of the answer goes like this. When thousands of people uses plants as medication for thousands of years, they are creating what we call traditional medication. Now you probably heard about the Indian traditional medication, the Ayurveda, and different kinds of Chinese traditional medication, the traditional medications that came from Europe, herbalism, aromatherapy, traditional medication of American native, and traditional medication of Muslim countries people. There is also a Jewish traditional medication, and by the way, a Christian traditional medication. But as for the Jewish traditional medication, the Maimonides wrote a lot about the use of medical plants. And in this aspect, the Balm of Gilead was a very important medication, one of the most important medication of ancient time, that only the ancient Hebrew farmer knew how to grow and how to deliver the medication out of it. The second part of my answer reaches the temple. It says in the Gemara that the temple had a very, very unique windows. Usually I would like to hear the sound of the... Please help me with this. Crash it. Thank you. Usually the purpose of the window is to bring the sun, the light inside to the home, to the house. It says that the temple windows were different. The temple windows' purpose was to spread the light around from the inside of the house outside. Now, if a research and development center for medical plants would be able to spread the light around it, this is my temple and I feel very good with it, and I'm not confused anymore. And when the temple would come from the sky, it also would be my temple. But as far as I see it, it should come from the sky. Okay, we will start with this. Can I please? Thank you. There is a very nice word in Aramite. Aramite is the ancient language that the Hebrew and Arabic came from. There is a very nice word for coal. Coal in Aramite is gumra or jumra. And from this word there is a very nice word in Hebrew called mugmar. This is mugmar, the chopped resin called mugmar in Hebrew. And there is a sentence in Hebrew to bless the mugmar. Now since you're here, I would like to bless you good people with health and happiness and prosperity and fulfillment. And children, you can do whatever you want. You can be whatever you want, you just have to work hard for this. And I would like to bless you with a lot of good to you and to your families. The way to reach the smell is or to stand against the winds or to do something like this to pull it to your direction. So if you want to smell the resin, this is time.
Oh yeah, that smells like that. It's a blessing. Sorry.
Okay. Now on ancient time, on ancient time, people didn't use only incense; they also used perfume. And I got here some very, very interesting products. This is our first products of the Balm of Gilead. Some of our first products. I would like you to put two hands like this. And try not to mix them. Not to mix them yet. Keep each one separated.
Thank you.
Okay.
So this is a Balm of Gilead.
No, but just a minute, I will tell you what it is.
You don't have to guess.
No, I guess that you will not be able to. Maybe you'll guess some of the ingredient, but you will never guess what it is.
Okay.
It's a guy special.
No, it's not my special, but I'm the only one who do it.
Oh.
Okay, what you are just smelling is 80% out of the original anointing oil of the kings and the priests of Israel at the first temple period. At the first temple period, the anointing oil of the kings and the priests had 5 ingredients due to the Bible. Olive oil, cinnamon, probably you smell the cinnamon, myrrh, a plant called Knei Bosem, which is identified with a plant called Cymbopogon martini, Palmarosa. And the fifth one is a plant called Kida. No one knows what the Kida is, so this is only 80% out of the original anointing oil of the first temple time. 100% authentic, 80% of the original ingredient. At the end of the first temple time, the anointing oil was put in a secret place. And since the second temple time, give me your other hand please. Since the second temple time, this was the only ingredient of the anointing oil. In this case, I put some, which is the Balm of Gilead. In this case, I put some frankincense and myrrh together with it because it is forbidden to make 100% anointing oil, not for the purpose of the temple. So this is a bit more than 100% of the anointing oil of the second temple period. 100% authentic, a bit more than 100% of the ingredient. Now if you take your both hands and do something like this, and then smell it, you will get this marvelous product, which is the third temple anointing oil. A mixture of them both. I can tell you that in the last year, I got official appointed as the incense supplier for the third temple by the Temple Institute and by the New Sanhedrin, which are the two main Jewish organizations that deal with the temple.
What was the second one?
New Sanhedrin. New
Oh,
Sanhedrin.
no, New Sanhedrin. Okay.
Yeah, New Sanhedrin. Yeah. So I am the official supplier, though another record that still you cannot go to the grocery with. I guess that in the future, when we'll have the temple, it will be meaningful. But till now, it's only a title, but official title. I will tell you that the first time we meet the Balm of Gilead in history is in the Bible, when the brothers of Joseph throw him to the pit. The Bible tells us about a caravan of Ishmaelites carrying a smelly cargo going above the pit. And one of the ingredients was the Balm of Gilead. Even though, despite this description, due to Yosef ben Matityahu, Josephus Pabius, a classic historian, the Balm of Gilead was brought to Israel as a present from Queen of Sheba to King Solomon. And indeed, at the visit of Queen of Sheba here, at the biblical text, there is the sentence, and there were no such a bosom till then. Bosom, you remember, this is one of the names of the Balm of Gilead. This way or another, the ancient Hebrew farmer learned how to cultivate it, and made a lot of benefits out of it. The biggest Balm of Gilead plantation was quite close to here in Jericho. There were also plantations at the other side of the Dead Sea in a small Jewish village called Zohar. There were plantations southern than in Gedi, but this was the place around the Dead Sea. Sorry, around the Dead Sea. The owners of the Balm of Gilead plantation were the elite. The kings had plantation of their own. It says that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi had its own Balm of Gilead plantation. And there were another queen that was a big fan of the Balm of Gilead. Her name was Cleopatra. And Cleopatra was a very, very, very clever woman. And she desired the Balm of Gilead plantation of King Herod. And since she was a very clever woman, she didn't just make a war against him. She went to her lover. That time her lover's name was Marcus Antonius, and he was the Third Empire. He was in charge of all this region in the Roman Empire. And for her, he took all the region of the Dead Sea and gave it as a present to Egypt. And indeed, all this area was under Egyptian control for 5 years, until poor Herod paid a lot of money to Cleopatra in order to get his Balm of Gilead plantation back. The narrative of the Balm of Gilead reaches till the Metzada. Have you been in the Metzada? Mm-hmm.
Yes, yesterday.
There are serious researchers, not me. The main researcher of the Mitzvah, his name is Dr. Guy Stiebel, asked themselves, why did the Romans spare so much energy in order to conquer the Mitzvah? What did we have there? A group of extreme rebellions that went to a neglected mountain at the end of a deserted desert in a small province called Judea. With all the respect, the Judean kingdom was a very small province that didn't been a real threat to the big Roman Empire. So why did the Romans spare so much energy to conquer Mitzvah? And the answer is that the people of the Mitzvah made one big mistake. One night they came down from the mountain and attacked the Balm of Gilead plantation of Engedi. Now, do you remember what happens to those who mess with the American oil? The big empire don't have a sense of humor when it comes for a major source of income. And the Balm of Gilead was a major source of income for the Roman Empire as taxes that the farmer paid. Do you have any questions?
So did I understand that right, that you're saying that one of the main reasons that the Romans wanted was for the Balm of Gilead?
The main reason the Roman destroyed the Mitzvah was because the people of the Mitzvah harmed the industry of the Balm of Gilead. Yeah. It's not me saying this is the main researcher of the Mitzvah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you. I would remind you, please tell my story. I would give you cards with my internet site and Facebook page. Let's have a picture together.
I think we need a picture
we should
together,
start with
yes.
a picture together.